Book one is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is AI alchemist, turning chaos into clarity for small businesses. Founder and CEO of Insight Driven Business, no other than Mr. JB Herrera.
Greetings. How you doing, Daniel?
Fabulous, fabulous, Mr. JB. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. I am the founder and CEO of Insight Driven Business. We are an AI application development company located in Northern California. And we focus on designing and developing automations that are specific to small to medium sized businesses that take the hype out of AI, that really focus on delivering value to small to medium sized businesses.
Mr. JB Herrera, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about beyond the hype, how AI can finally deliver on its promise for small business. How does it mean for AI to deliver on its promise for small businesses beyond the current hype?
Well, the hype is all about artificial intelligence being so um, intelligent and being able to provide you with accurate information. But what we've discovered is that when you actually implement AI, it's not really artificial intelligence, it's augmented intelligence if it's done properly. So the hype is you can press the easy button and AI is going to solve all your problems. That's just not true. You have to think about artificial intelligence as a child, a 3 to 4 year old child. And a 3 to 4 year old child does not have any context for the kinds of questions that you're going to ask it to bring answers back. When you get that one fundamental thing, and think about if you're going to talk something, a concept to a 3 or 4 year old, and I've done this with my grandson, you have to simplify the information and make it very, very consistent. Give it context, and then provide a, a prompt that goes out. It'll generate a response, and don't expect that response to be the right one. Most people will actually think that because AI is out there and it's been trained and it's got all this information, it's going to be the right information. But that's not true. What's going to happen is it's going to come back with general information. You may want to have a very specific answer for a specific question, and it's not providing that information, or is providing context about a different type of topic. So you may be expecting answers on a particular topic like bananas, and the response may come back about the Savannah Banana baseball team. Now, most people would say, hey, that's really wrong. It came up with the wrong thing, but it didn't know the context that you're asking for. So it's giving a bunch of information that it might be appropriate for you. That's the problem. So the hype is that it has all the answers, but the reality is it has so much information it doesn't know specifically what you're doing. So in our case, what you've seen is that's a character that we put on our website, and her name is Brandy, and what she does is she's a character that we've created to introduce you to how artificial intelligence works. And you can play a video, she'll explain what we're doing and identify very, very specifically what the problems are that you might have. And we even share with you the process that we use to create our AIs. So she'll tell you exactly how to do things, how to explore how AI can work for you. And then beyond that, you can actually interact with a different AI called Cassidy, and Cassidy will be able to answer very specific questions about your particular business. Now, when you do it that way, all of a sudden the hype goes away because you can now ask the right question. It remembers the context of the question and answers you specifically in a way that makes sense for you.
Interesting, Mr. JB. Interesting indeed. And can you share a story of a small business that successfully used AI to transform its operation or growth?
Absolutely. So there's two ways that a small business can actually improve themselves with AI. One is by operational efficiency. And when you do that, essentially what that means is you can actually do the same amount of work in a short amount of time. And when you do that, you become more efficient. Technically, what happens is, let's say it takes an hour to do a piece of work, and you may be charging, let's say, $75 an hour. So that's $75 worth of work. But you may be able to do that same amount of work in about 10 minutes, saving about $70 of expense. That frees you up to serve more customers. So you've decreased cost, you've gained more efficiency, and you can generate more money at the same time. And we've been able to successfully do that with a couple of SaaS software companies. One does MRP, manufacturing resource planning, and they do outbound email campaigns to their existing client bases. They used to have to do probably about 35 hours, 30, no, it's actually 37 hours. But beyond that, it took them many, many more hours to create the communications, to format things, to get the right content that they could send directly to their clients. We turned that into an AI, and all of a sudden, that 37 hours went down to about 6 hours. That's what we're talking about, being able to really facilitate and becoming more efficient. We took another company that is in the e-commerce space and did something very similar, only we combined the capability of outbound marketing with inbound responses from that marketing campaign and used AI to respond to the questions and comments that their prospects had. What that did is it enabled their one virtual assistant to utilize the system and support 4 times more clients than they were before. So they were able to handle about 5 to 6 clients a day. Now they could potentially handle up to 40 different clients a day.
Mr. JB, what are the most practical AI applications for small businesses looking to improve efficiency or profitability?
Well, the fastest ones that you can actually implement quickly are more on the marketing side. There's also some great AI tools that we've developed that are based on research. So we can research a whole series of potential clients, prospects, um, individuals that you may want to do some serious outreach to. In fact, Daniel, what we did before we actually reached out to you is we did a profile of of the podcast and of you
Yes.
as the host. So we knew exactly who you were before we even had the conversation. And when you do that, you're much more prepared to have a conversation about what your business is, what your services are, what their pain points are. And that's really one of the biggest keys in today's marketplace. If you're a small business, you recognize that you're not going to be able to use advertising the way it's been traditionally used in digital marketing. In fact, what we discovered is that it takes you 10 times more energy to do a conversion into your client base than it did a year ago. 10 times more effort. So using AI gives you a capability of decreasing that cost and reaching out and responding to people. So marketing is a great tool. Market research is a great tool. Individual person research is a great tool. And also, if you wanted to train people on your systems, you can actually figure out how to do that using some of our AIs.
Interesting indeed, Mr. JB. And what role does AI play in enhancing customer experience? As discussed in our earlier topic on scalable customer experiences.
Right. That's a great question. And really one of the best parts of using AI the way we do is you can see on the screen it says AI augmented execution. The really interesting thing about customer experience is everybody is going to have a different way of communicating the same message to their clients. Sometimes, an individual may have a good day, they may have a bad day. Sometimes they forget to say something or they say it in the wrong way. When you use AI, if it's trained properly, it never forgets. It always remembers every question that you want it to ask. So your customer service team now has a friend, and that friend can be sitting on the screen at the same time they're having a conversation with with their clients, and can ask the right questions based on what's happening in that conversation in real time. That's huge. Another way that you can use it from a user experience perspective is by taking a website, and we can analyze the visuals, the graphics, the text to determine if your user experience is consistent with the brand that you have. So when you're selling and presenting yourself to the marketplace, one of the things that you're trying to do is make sure that your visuals and your messaging is consistent every step of the way, from the moment they come to the website or respond to an email or a quiz or something that you've done to bring them to the website. Everything has to be consistent visually and from a text perspective. So we make sure that we can do a brand analysis. We analyze your brand, your core values, vision, mission, make sure your messaging is correct, and then it shows up properly on your website. And then we'll even take it one step further. We'll actually incorporate your outbound email campaigns and make sure that they're aligned specifically with your brand messaging as well. So you can see it's a comprehensive way of looking at how you can solve many different problems. It's much different than just going out and saying, uh, you know, typing something into Chat GPT and getting a response back.
So, Mr. JB, can you share to us your analysis regarding my podcast that you did? You did it earlier.
Yeah, what becomes very very interesting is um, you can actually identify where a person's been. It's kind of like doing a people search, if you
Mm,
will. Back
yes.
in the day, what you can do could have done, and you can still do it now. There's some online sources that you can research. You have to pay for to find out what that person has been doing. Where they live, what their where their work status is, and some contact information. With AI, you can do essentially the same thing, but it becomes part of your package of services. So you don't have to have uh, a subscription to the white pages and an email campaign company and an information services company. You have an AI that does that, and it packages the information however you want to see it. So in your case, Daniel, we actually have a report that talks about what you've done in the podcast, what the podcast is about, how many people you've had, how many episodes, and gives us little snippets of the kinds of information that your audience is interested in speaking to and speaking about. So for us, that gives us the capability of being able to make sure that we can support you in your message and how you want to serve your audience. That's the purpose of using the people research components of AI.
Definitely. To be ahead in the game.
Exactly.
What are the biggest challenges small businesses face when adopting AI and how they can overcome them?
Well, I think there's three major problems that they face. The first is overcoming the fear of the hype. The hype is, Skynet, if you're familiar with Skynet in the Terminator movies,
Mm,
where,
yes.
there's going to be this overpowering, AI that's going to take over the world and take our jobs and all that kind of stuff. That kind of fear mongering really is what happens when you get the large companies who are trying to do these wonderful, huge things, but they're spending billions of dollars in doing that. The reality is, in our world, we don't have to deal with that. So, first is dealing with the fear, ignore it. There's a lot of hype about that. The second is your mindset. When you start thinking about how AI can be utilized, you have to think that you're going to be able to do something completely different in a completely different way, but stay true to who you are, your business, and your values. I'll give you an example. That software company that I was speaking to you before, they've been in business for over 25 years. And they've been doing things exactly the same way because they had a winning formula. So most people will want to run that formula again and again and again because it works. Why change anything if it works? But the challenge ends up being if your customers change or the market changes or you have a competitor that does something differently, you have to respond in the marketplace. And in their case, they'd been doing things so uh, uh, rote, if you will, in the same process, they had to get over the fact that how they were doing things is actually slowing them down. So what we had to show them is, look, if you have a different mindset, a growth mindset, a mindset that says, I'm willing to take the chance and develop something on a prototype basis that enables you to accomplish the same things that you did before in a short amount of time, and you're willing to commit to that on a second project, that's the thing that you really have to get to. So mindset is the second thing. And the third part of that is identifying a prototype that you can actually implement that's specific to your business. It's not as simple as just going into ChatGPT or Claude or Meta or anything like that. It's really understanding what is your business about? How are you trying to, what are your business goals? And then what we can do is craft something very carefully and quickly that enables you to address those goals. So the first part is avoid the hype, get rid of the fear. The second is making sure that you have a mindset where you're willing to try something. You just dip your toe in. Doesn't have to be big, just have to be something. And then the third is identify that prototype project in terms of how you can leverage it to build a better process in the future.
Very well said, Mr. JB. Very well said. And as a AI alchemist, founder and CEO of Insight Driven Business, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Well, short term, I want to get the message out that AI can be your friend. It's all about messaging and making sure that people understand that it can be utilized very specifically for you. Second thing is, how can I get out there and deploy the platform and give it to as many people as I can and share with them how they can really turn their businesses around? I've been working with clients, growing and scaling their businesses for about 35 years. That's my background. It's business coaching and mentoring. But I turned those processes into AIs. So what used to take me 2 years to go through with a client, we can do in like 2 months. So if I can do that for my business, I want to do that for everybody else's as well.
Definitely. And good luck to your goals, Mr. JB, and looking forward for more success.
Thank you.
And what will your piece of advice for those people out there who want to try AI in their business?
Well, the first thing that they have to do is define specifically what it is they have as a gap. So I term a gap as something that is holding them back. It could be they're not getting enough sales. It could be they're confused about how their product is being received in the marketplace. It could be that their cost of goods is so high that they don't have any profit. They have to define for themselves that one fundamental thing. And then once we define that, then we can actually put AI to help and identify what that is. And Daniel, for your listeners, um, there's an there's an AI I'd like to offer them. You can go to the website, and it's IDB AI bots dot insight driven dot business, and I'll share that with you later. And you can actually play with what we're talking about. So if you go to, I think it's AI products, the menu,
AI products,
and see where it says AI assistant samples
samples,
right there.
AI samples. Okay.
So if you click get started, you don't have to log in. You can just go ahead and do that and see where it says, this is again, Brandy. She describes, what AI can do for you. And then listed below are some of the IDB AI agents that we're going to allow your listeners to look at. So this is the same consulting thing that I would do with people, but they can do it themselves. So on the left-hand side on the menu, if you hit AI executive overview, you'll see Cassidy. So if you click on Cassidy, You can actually, she's going to sit there and explain to you what she does. She's a guide that helps you explore how to use AI in your small business.
Interesting. And thank you for sharing your knowledge through AI, Mr. JB. And thank you for your advice. And can you please recommend a books or book that influence your journey?
Yeah, there's a great book. It was actually written by Melanie Mitchell, and it's called Artificial Intelligence: A Guide for Thinking Humans. And that book is really, it describes, it's kind of a balanced way of looking at artificial intelligence. It does in fact talk about some of the long-term prospects of what AI can do, but she gives you some really practical ways of looking at AI from a small business perspective.
Thank you for that recommendation, Mr. JB. And how can small business owners stay informed about AI advancements without feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, what I would say is there are a couple of very small newsletters. And of course, you can go to my website and I have blog posts that are specific to how we view AI. But there are a couple of newsletters that they may want to subscribe to. One of them is the Axios AI newsletter. Axios is a well known and respected um, publisher, and they aggregate a lot of content specifically on AI, this specific newsletter. And it's really designed for people who are not technically focused, but that's a great way to grab that information from a summary perspective. I also publish at least 1 to 2 articles, very deep research articles on AI on a weekly basis on LinkedIn. So you can go to my LinkedIn profile and see that information there. And also, I guess finally, you can want to stay abreast of what's going on. Cassidy's always updated. So you can come here and you can see some of the questions that she has right there that you can just click on and start playing with. But she has the latest and greatest information of what's going on about AI and how you can use it in your business as well.
Mr. JB, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in its fifth season too, comedy 101 second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in its fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. JB, for listeners and viewers of Book 101 Review, what's one's actionable step a small business can take today to start leveraging AI effectively?
Yeah, the first thing to do is, again, get your mind around the fact that you're going to be able to do things in a completely different way. Using a tool like Cassidy or Randy is an insight catalyst. You'll see what Randy does here. He'll actually walk you through how do you align your business's core values. Learn how to use AI using these tools. They're here for free, that you can utilize to give you a feel for how you can use AI in your business. So this is my service to the community, is by putting here all of these tools. The AI Alchemist monetizing AI is really interesting. So if you have a business and you'd like to start a new product, how do I do that? I don't know. Well, the AI Alchemist can do that for you. It'll give you ideas. It'll give you concepts about how to use AI, how to change your product, what the revenue models might look like, how to position it, a whole set of ideas that are done specifically based on the experience that I've had for the last 30, 35 years and focusing just on small to medium sized businesses.
Well, Mr. JB Herrera, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your uh, AI alchemist business or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. If you go to back to the website, the original website, which is insight-driven.business, you can see how to get in touch with me right there. You can reach out to me specifically on LinkedIn. Um, yep, there you go. And also, you can go to insight-driven.business on our Facebook page. We have an Instagram account, AI Driven Strategy. So there's lots of ways that you can actually get to us. But insight-driven.business is really the main place where you can get in touch with me and the team, and we can get you going in AI really, really fast.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. JB Herrera because if you support him for sure, more empowering advocacy to come, more and more empowering business for sure to come, and more empowering AI alchemists to come. So, Mr. JB, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, Daniel.
More to come, people. See you soon.